Hey guys. Oh, this light is terrible. I timed my husband's memorial service with a family vacation. Hold on. We have to get better light. That's not going to work. There we go. All right. So, shuffle there. These things. Oh my gosh. They're frustrated. You're going to see my daughter show up on the screen behind us pretty soon, probably, because she's about to get home from school. I timed my husband's memorial service with a family vacation. I know it sounds really dumb, but at the time when he was on his deathbed, dying of cancer, we missed 2 huge social functions because he was dying. And it's silly maybe to be frustrated about that, but they were things I looked forward to all year, and he looked forward to them too. And I felt like I was missing out on these things that were happening. The cool thing, though, is that because of the timing of these functions, it was easy to get word out to our friends and family about what was happening with Clint and to tell them when the memorial service was going to be. Actually, a friend did a live video of an announcement going out to all the pastors of the United Methodist Church in Minnesota. And there was an audible and like universal gasp in the room, like hundreds and hundreds of people. And actually, that is a special video for me. I've watched it more than once because it felt like people were sharing my grief in that moment. And I also felt bad for his friends who were hearing that he was on hospice for the first time, because your 38-year-old friend is not supposed to be on hospice. I remember sitting across from his boss, and we laughed because he just looked at me and he said, "Who do you want?" Like, he was like, "So who do you want to do his service?" And instantly 300 pastors came to mind because he was a pastor. And I chose the district superintendent because I felt like that was going to alleviate some hurt feelings with if I chose one pastor friend over another. But the fact that there were that many people who would have dropped everything to do this service and to preach that sermon. And Fred preached a great sermon that I haven't been able to watch since. I think she's coming home. Husky's excited. A great sermon called The Prodigal's Son. And when I'm brave enough, when I'm far enough out, I'm still not there yet. I hope to be able to share more about that beautiful experience. But my close friends were helping me plan this service, and we had to plan for a certain number as far as the food and catering and the sanctuary size. And I had a couple of friends just checking in with the numbers, and they were like, "Sam, more and more people are responding. You're up to 300 people who responded to the Facebook invite. And there are going to be more people coming who haven't replied to this invite. Like, they're just going to come." And so we had to choose a church that seated over 500 people. And we had a lot of close friends in southern Minnesota, and we had a lot of close friends in central Minnesota. We had a lot of people flying in from out of state. So it felt really natural to choose a location in the Twin Cities, just west of the Twin Cities. We did Hosanna United Methodist in Plymouth, Minnesota. They were amazing. They were gracious hosts, and paid for a lot of the things out of pocket or donated their services because he was a United Methodist pastor and it was at a United Methodist church. And that was their way to support our family. But I had family in Wisconsin at the time. Like, as my husband was passing away, we do this annual family vacation in Wisconsin. Most of them come from Illinois, and we were coming from Minnesota. But I timed time the service so that it wasn't before the vacation ended. And all my family members who were at the service, or sorry, were on vacation, were able to just drive on over to the Twin Cities after vacation and be there for the memorial service. It felt right. There were 120 clergy there. There were 50 football players. It was a really fun time. And my late husband had a really funny sense of humor, I guess you could say. And he had joked about, like, before he knew he was dying, he would always joke, like, I want to have Hawaiian leis at my funeral so that people can say they got laid at my funeral. I'm like, all right. So I did it. So we had leis at his service, which is super fun. It was a good time. That morning, I had to spend the night before at someone else's house because the service was further away from the house. I just needed to be closer to where everything was going to be. And that morning, my middle daughter woke up at 5 a.m. And I was like, man, not today, not today. I need my brain. I need as much of my mental capacity as I possibly can have. I can't do this. I can't do this. And so I put, like, all three girls then woke up at 5 a.m. and I put a movie on for them, the movie Ants. And I went into the guest bedroom and texted 13, 14 family members. And I said, hi, Trinity. I said, my girls are awake. I need to go to sleep. I can't do this. Here's the address where I'm staying. Kelly needs new shoes. She needs dress shoes. She doesn't have any. Can someone please come get the girls? So I sent this text out to like 13 people. It was like my parents, my sisters, my cousins, and I went to bed. And I woke up and the house was quiet. Like, you know, that like eerie quiet, the quiet, the type of quiet that makes you worry when you're a parent. Woke up to that quiet. And I rolled over and one of my cousins was laying on the bed next to me, and she was about this far from my face, and she was just staring at me. She said, good morning. I said, good morning. She said, Carissa might have the kids right now, or maybe Cheryl, or I don't know, but we got it figured out, and they're at the hotel swimming, and everything's fine. Come on, let's go get Clint. And I was like, oh, I forgot about him. And she said, yes, I know. That's why I'm here. Because we had to go pick up the ashes before the service. So, and the reason I'm telling you this, because grief is so hard. Grief is really, really hard. And in the midst of this, there were just really funny things that happened. Like the fact that I was able to text a bunch of people and they just took care of it. They did the thing that needed to happen. And that amuses me, that my family is that close, that like everyone knew where everyone was, and it was fine. Everything was fine. And also, I had a really dark and twisty sense of humor before my husband passed away, and it only got worse. So we went to the crematorium place, and we were picking up his ashes, and the woman asked for my ID. And I was like, why do you need my driver's license? Do people actually steal ashes? And she was like, oh, no, they don't. And she got all defensive and like, heaven forbid. But I thought it was funny. I thought it was a funny question. Like, why would people? I guess, I mean, grief does really wacky things to people. And she came back in the room and she gave me the box, and I was like, oh, that's a lot heavier than I thought it was going to be. Because you laugh or you have to when grief is happening. I have a whole playlist on my YouTube channel called Laughter Heals, and most of the reels don't have anything to do with grief. In fact, I don't know that any of them really do. They're just like funny things that my kids say and things I put up with, like my idiot husky. Yes, I know. Hi. So Anyway, she handed us this box, and then I looked at her and I was like, "Do you ever drop the ashes and just mix a little bit of Ethel with a little bit of Johnny?" And again, she had this like, "No way." And I was like, "Come on, that's funny. It's funny. Like, this woman, if you're going to work at a crematorium and like a place where people have to pick up, you need a sense of humor. You need a sense of humor." Anyway, so we were leaving that place, but it was pouring. And so Debbie and I sat on the stairs, and like we're looking out over the parking lot outside. And I said, I had Clint's wallet still in my hand. And I said, "I think Clint's going to buy me lunch today." And she said, "I mean, after all the trouble he's caused, it's the least he can do." And we laughed about that too. And I pulled out his credit card and he treated me to lunch, which is illegal. I'm admitting that. But I also paid the bill and I closed the credit card. So, but part of that was just that it felt really good to have him buy me lunch that day. Like, he was still with me. He was still taking care of me. He was still providing for me and hanging out with me, even though he wasn't. I know. I am curious to know if you have experienced grief at some point. Were you able to find laughter or humor in any of your situations? And if so, maybe respond with a smiley face. If you want to share part of that story, that would be awesome. But just the idea that we can laugh when things are hard, I believe, is truly, truly a gift from God. When Sarah is eavesdropping on the conversation with Abraham and God in Genesis 15, it's around there in one of those chapters, I think it's Genesis 15, when she's eavesdropping and God tells Abraham he's going to have a son in his late 90s, he's going to get his wife pregnant in his 90s, Sarah laughs. And we give Sarah a really hard time about laughing, but I would have too. I absolutely would have too. And I don't know that her laughter was the fact that she actually thought it was funny, but just thought it was funny. Like, really, there's no way. There's no way. So I think laughter is a gift. And I hope that as you are grieving, if you're grieving, I hope and pray that you find things that you can laugh about. And if you subscribe to this channel, I will always have opportunities for you to laugh. The reason I try to do those reels that don't really have to do with grief is because sometimes people just need a break from grief and they just need to laugh about something safe. And so subscribe and receive more content. And look at his face. Look at his face. We look forward to talking to you soon. Bye. I know, Bandit.